of everything we face and the problems we have. Paul Watson's coming up in the 4th hour. I'm going to do 5 more minutes. Infowars.com/show. Spread that feed to everybody. Huge internet censorship's been announced. It's so huge, I did a bad job even covering the magnitude. I'm going to come back. It's out of control. Ah! Red level emergency. Mayday! By the way, if I wanted to just do really good radio, the stuff on DrudgeReport.com is just the most wild selection of stuff every day. I should just do the show off that. That's what most talk show hosts do. I do a lot of it off that. I've got stacks of news, also important from Infowars.com. But he didn't beat his chest. Animal expert says gorilla, new boy who fell into his enclosure, was defenseless and would never have attacked him. Yeah, not one of those African great gorillas. I mean, those things are pretty sweet to things that they don't see as a threat. And the argument is if they shot him with a tranquilizer, he could have flipped out and hurt the kid on accident. But that's just, from what I know, reading about gorillas and watching shows about them, that's just not the case. Now, baboons or something? Maybe even some chimpanzees would flip out and hurt the kid, but not a gorilla. That's the thing about Hollywood. People think of gorillas because those stupid movies, where the gorillas kill everybody and stuff. That's just a load of bull, folks. Gorillas don't do that unless you attack them. They're pretty smart. They know humans have guns. They run. But the Cincinnati Zoo, I didn't mean to come back and cover that. I was just reading about it. An animal behavior expert believes that the gorilla who was shot dead when a 4-year-old boy fell into the zoo enclosure was investigating, not attacking the child, which is understood was defenseless. Well, yeah, they like little kids, kittens, you name it. They all have, even the males have a maternal instinct. The 180-kilogram critically endangered western lowland gorilla was killed by officials at Cincinnati Zoo in the U.S. just one day after his 17th birthday, after the boy climbed through the barriers and fell 4.5 meters into the enclosure. Everywhere I go, I'll see if there's a crack on the street that big now on private property, you'll say danger crack because somebody can sue you. And everywhere's gotten rid of diving boards, but now all the new pools, like the W, I won't stay at a W. It's all trendy, all crap. I've stayed at them in Europe, you name it. And it's like a 1-foot pool now. It's like the trendier and trendier is like having no services. And now you watch, they're going to start even not letting humans get near animals because people don't watch their kids and they climb in. That's the nanny state. I know people that own restaurants where they have a regular deck with a 5-foot drop. And they're having to put sheet metal up because kids will fall through and then the parents sue them. There's no common sense. It's all just a bunch of idiots everywhere. There's video of him shooting the gorilla and just being nice to the little kid. Footage taken from a visitor shows the gorilla grabbing the boy by the shirt. Many are placing the blame squarely on the parents of the 4-year-old boy who investigators believe crawled through the railing barrier. And there's really sad video of the whole thing. But I'm going to do a special report on this in the whole nanny state because, that's what's causing all this. And I can get why they shot the gorilla because, he's obviously agitated. He's got the kid. He doesn't know what to do. It's very exciting when you're locked up in a jail and then, there's having a little animal in there with you and you don't know what to do with it. The gorilla's not stupid. He's looking for its parent. He's expecting that somebody's going to come crawling in wanting this baby. And so he's just checking the kid out, not knowing what to do. And, well, he gets shot. So that footage is up on Infowars.com as well. But I'm going to shoot a quick special report for the nightly news on that because, I get why they shot him. Because if they would have not done it and there's a small chance the gorilla could actually hurt the kid, it'd be all over. Because the way the gorilla's running away from yelling crowds. If you watch the video and the audio, here's the yelling and so it's trying to get the kid and run to wherever it's safe. And one time I had some neighbors, I had this chihuahua named Conan as a joke. It was a tiny black chihuahua, dark brown chihuahua. And this neighbor woman, the dog didn't like other people, it was a one-person dog or whatever, or two-person dog. And the lady kept following the dog, trying to, quote, give it back to us, the neighbor, and ran it out in the street down into William Cannon when I lived down there. And they just smashed the dog flatter in a pancake. And then another neighbor saw it, called me. I came home from work, and they had the dog in a trash bag. But it's kind of that example of the nanny state. Oh, the doggy's out. Let me chase it down the road till I run it out into the highway to get run over flatter in a pancake. Anyways, just remember that story. We're going to be back with Paul Joseph Watson and more. Infowars Nightly News tonight, 7 o'clock Central. Don't forget the huge special ends today. 30% off on a lot of our best-selling items. You can get free shipping and 10% off with auto ship on top of that. Those are some huge discounts, and it makes the broadcast possible. InfoWarsLife.com.
We are back. It's the Alex Jones Show Live, 4th hour overdrive with me, your host, Paul Joseph Watson. And we're going to get the European perspective. Of course, we've got the big Brexit vote coming up here in the United Kingdom in a few weeks' time. The official campaign for the Vote Leave movement is not including immigration as one of its major platform issues in campaigning for Britain to leave the European Union, which is a massive mistake because the polls all show that this is the primary concern amongst the British voters, and for very good reason, because we've seen again and again this cultural enrichment that has infused our wonderful country via the gravy train of Muslim migrants over the past year is not proving to beneficial. This is a top story up on Infowars.com right now. Swedish government kicks local family out of home, gives it to Muslim migrants. That's right, Sweden, in which politicians encourage their citizens to give up their garages to house asylum seekers. Now they're just taking people who are born in Sweden. These are locals who were born in the town, grown up there, lived there their entire lives, and saying, get the hell out. You're being replaced by the precious Muslim migrant. You must bow down and worship them, otherwise you're racist. A local family in the Swedish city of Lingo has been ordered by the government to leave their home so that it may be given to migrants arriving from a foreign country. Father of 2 teenage boys, Uffe Rustan, received a voicemail from his local municipality telling him he would need to vacate the property by August in order to make way for asylum seekers from the Middle East. He's being culturally enriched. This is a quote. Listen to this. This is a guy who's got 2 teenage sons, born in the city, grew up there, lived there their entire lives. They're paying the government rent. This is not a free welfare house. They're taxpayers. The father works. He's paying the government rent. He's got a contract. The government left him a voicemail and said that that contract would not be renewed. He would be kicked out and replaced by Muslim migrants who, presumably, almost 100% guaranteed, aren't going to be paying a penny. Even though Sweden is suffering from a drastic housing shortage right now, they're kicking their own citizens out of their home to make way for these economic migrants. This is a quote from the father. I was evicted from my home over the phone. When I asked for the reason, he said that people come from other countries. He left the news and basically just said, have a nice weekend. He goes on, it feels like I'm worthless. Even though I pay taxes and my kids go to school here, you cannot put a family on the streets for another family. Well, you can if they're from the Middle East, if they're precious asylum seekers who have been such a great benefit to the culture of Sweden, that since that country opened its doors to mass immigration, the rape level skyrocketed 1,400% because it's such a great form of cultural enrichment. This is a government that has Islamists beheading people in IKEA stores, and what does it do the very next day? Doesn't take measures to combat Islamists, to combat the radicalization of Muslims in these Swedish no-go ghettos, where police, firefighters, ambulance personnel are pelted with stones, chased out of the area. It doesn't do any of that. What does it do instead? It lectures Swedes about Islamophobia. It organizes anti-Islamophobia marches in the very days after Islamists have beheaded Swedes in IKEA because it's their fault. And it's this family's fault, presumably, for trying to actually pay the government, pay taxes, agree a contract to stay in this home. Not good enough. You will be supplanted. You will be replaced. And again, Sweden is not the only European government that is turfing out its own citizens of social housing, which in many cases they actually pay the government, it's not free, to accommodate the influx of Muslim migrants. We've featured the reports out of Germany, where these migrants are being given 4-star hotels while low-income Germans are being ordered to leave their homes. The Telegraph reported that Germans are now beginning to receive notices of eviction to make way for asylum seekers. Again, placing the welfare, the legitimacy, the importance of these economic migrants, the majority of whom don't come from Syria, they're not refugees, they head straight for the Northern European welfare havens. They're not even migrants. They're not refugees, but they're being treated like gods because that's the new humanitarian trendy thing to do. And of course, once they've imported them, once they've had their numerous children, which they're prone to do, like Erdogan out of Turkey says, you know, decrying contraception, urging Muslims to have more and more children while Europe dies, basically, fertility dropping through the floor. All those people that those governments are bringing into these Northern European welfare states, eventually they're going to get the right to vote. They're dependent on government. They're going to vote for more big government. That's why you've got Green Party politicians in Germany heralding their arrival, heralding the fact that Germans will be a minority in their own cities by the year 2030, saying it's a good thing, decrying the so-called right-wingers who dare stand up for their own populations. But those Muslim migrants are just going to vote for more big government, and that's the main incentive for big government to import them in the first place. Also, big business gets access to cheap labour. So again, crony corporatism wins out at the end of the day. And again, if you look at Germany, for example, in Berlin alone, they're spending 600 million euros a year to house migrants. In some cases, in upmarket Berlin hotels, we're talking 18,000 euros per refugee per year. Now, that is enough to basically fix Berlin's homeless population, Berlin's homeless problem. They have a homeless population of 10,000 people, and yet the government is going to be paying in Berlin alone for 10,000 people to stay in 4-star hotels so they could fix their homeless population overnight. But no, you're a German citizen living in Germany, you're scum. You're a Swede. You're a single father with 2 children, 2 teenage children, trying to raise them, working hard, paying taxes, paying the government to rent a house, having a contract. You're scum. You will be replaced by the precious Muslim migrants who are proving to be such a great benefit to our society, as is seen again in Germany. You remember at the time we reported on it. Cologne, of course, the mainstream media didn't report on it for 3 days because, along with the police, they tried to cover it up. But it emerged on social media, the mass molestation of women in Cologne in numerous other European and German cities on the evening of New Year's Eve. And we've played the footage. We've featured the eyewitness reports from the bouncers who the women fled to for protection on that evening. They described it as a civil war. The police described it as a civil war style situation. Firecrackers, fireworks going off everywhere, being thrown at crowds. Women being groped, molested, their clothes torn off. Well, surprise, surprise, it's happened once again. This is out of the Daily Mail. 26 women, and it could be up to 30 plus, according to this report, are sexually assaulted at German concert with victims surrounded by mobs of migrant men and groped in copycat attacks like those in Cologne. A group of asylum seekers sexually assaulted numerous women at a free concert in Germany at the weekend in attacks similar to those carried out in Cologne on New Year's Eve. 3 Pakistani men, and again you saw in Cologne that the vast majority of them who were Moroccan were not arrested. 3 Pakistani men are already under arrest for 26 women filed complaints that they had been improperly touched, fondled and groped during the festival in the city of Darmstadt. Police have said the number of complainants could rise. Between 2 and 3 more men are still being sought by police as victims receive counselling when authorities try to cool down rising tensions against migrants in general, because, of course, that